Support for the Trailblazers podcast comes from the Campaign for Black Male Achievement, a national membership network that reminds us that there's no cavalry coming to save the day in our communities. We are the iconic leaders we've been waiting for, the curators of the change we're seeking to see. To learn more about the groundbreaking work of the Campaign for Black Male Achievement, please visit tbpod.com/Black Male Achievement.
You're listening to the Trailblazers podcast, where we will explore the stories of successful Black professionals. Join us as we highlight the knowledge, resources, and tools of these accomplished trailblazers to help provide the know-how, confidence, and motivation you need to blaze your trail. And now, here's your host, Stephen Hart.
What's good, Blazer Nation? Today, we're doing a solo episode as I wanted to share some thoughts and really, truly just vibe with my people. I know that we have a ton of new folks who have learned about us and hopped on since this Apple Podcast feature a couple weeks ago. And so if you're new, I just want to say big ups and welcome to our community. You're in the right place. I truly believe that you're going to be happy that you've subscribed and you're now part of this movement to make a difference through what we do in highlighting and exploring stories of today's successful Black entrepreneurs, professionals, creatives, and corporate leaders. And so I usually do a solo show, maybe once or twice a year. And I thought this would be a terrific time. I feel like my cup in this season is running over with a ton of goodness. And I just wanted to pour out and truly extend some of these blessings and wisdom and experiences with you. So this is going to be what might be a mini episode, we'll see. But I figure we can kick things off and keep things consistent with me sharing an unexpected blessing that I'm so incredibly grateful for. And so hands down, the obvious is that opening my iTunes app on the night of February 12th and seeing our banner at the top of Apple Podcast was truly a blessing beyond words, right? Here's a space that's reserved mostly for the Oprahs and the networks. I mean, even right now, if you opened it, much of February, it's showing Olympics, it's showing Trevor Noah, Oprah Winfrey, Dr. J. I mean, those types of people. But God worked it out to let this Jamaican guy get his shine. And it's often difficult, right, to be a creator, especially as a podcaster. I've spent 2 solid years at night mostly. This is a side hustle. I'm creating quality content week after week after week, knowing that the product is good, but also knowing that it could provide real impact to so many more people who genuinely need what's being produced and shared by our featured guests. So Apple, with this visibility, helped us to take a step in the right direction, right? With this expansion of visibility. And it's interesting because I entered this year with a focus on the word expansion, right? I wanted to expand the reach of this platform. I believed it. I am dialed into it. And I've been telling anyone that will listen and that has the ability to help us to share their thoughts on ways that we can get these episodes into more earbuds. So it's not surprising that Apple manifested itself, right? Like it happened. And here's the amazing thing since last week. Apple's help with visibility has now caused us to reach new highs for single day downloads in a week, downloads in a month. And I'm telling you this, I'm not happy just because of the numbers, but what those numbers represent, right? See, this means that since the beginning of this month, this year, more people in more countries around the world have been downloading these episodes and consuming positive messages about Black people, about building wealth, about Black History Month. And these stories, these messages, these nuggets of wisdom are helping families and communities both right now and generations to come well into the future, right? So that's always what it's been about for me. For those of you who are really getting to know me right now, I'm on a mission to help millions of people through this platform. I want Black folk, young and old, in every nation on the planet to see people to hear people who sound like them, that are thriving and be able to derive confidence and inspiration and practical wisdom that allows them to blaze their own trails. And I want our listeners to know that there's nothing outside the realm of possibility, right? And as well for people who are not black or brown to also be able to see and understand those of us who are and know that we aren't just thugs or athletes or musicians, right? We're so much more. And so it's important for me, especially, I have two little brown babies that I am determined to ensure that they know that there's no limits for them. There's no limitation on their vision on what they can become in their own lives. So as we close out Black History Month, it doesn't mean that we stop celebrating Black history. Every day is Black history. Every day history is being made. Every day we are writing Black history. We are writing our history, right? And as I think about how podcasting has allowed me to have an impact on Black history in the making, there's been so much that I've learned and I'm still learning and growing this brand, right? And so I wanted to share some of my own vibranium with you. Black Panther reference here. If you haven't watched it yet, get to a theater and make sure you check this movie out. It's amazing. But I want y'all to listen up, grab a notepad, and I'm going to share with you my top 7 tips or ways or lessons, however you want to phrase it, that will absolutely help you to blaze your own trail and write your own history, right? So we're going to do this countdown style. And at number 7, we're going to establish our foundation, a baseline. And I'm going to mandate that you believe in yourself. I think most of us struggle with this, right? Because we haven't been able to articulate our own vision to ourselves. Many of us will gladly help 1,000 other people get where they need to be. But when I ask you, what's your vision for 10 years out from now? Majority have struggled to give me a solid response to that. So here's where we're going to start. We're going to take baby steps, right? I want you right now, hit pause if you need to, but get a sheet of paper or get your journal or open your Evernote. And I want you to write down your name. I want you to write down today's date. I want you to write the date 1 year from today, 1 year out from now. Now, based on that date, 1 year out from now, I want you to write down the following. Who am I? Meaning, who are you going to be 1 year from today? Who am I? Now, I want you to write out, what will you stand for? Now, I want you to write out, what is your vision for yourself, your family, and the world? And now I want you to document 1 to 3 goals for each of these areas of your life. I want you to document goals for your family, relationships, health, spirituality, money, business, and recreation. And the last thing you're going to document, you're going to write down who you need to be to achieve these goals by that target date. And guys, hit me up if you need to, right? I want you to, if you do write out these goals, hit me up. I can't commit to necessarily being an accountability buddy, but I will definitely either give that a shot and stand in that position or connect you with other people in the community choosing to do this exercise, right? If you need that. Accountability is huge. Now, the crazy thing is that we started out with 1 year, right? But a couple years ago, I myself did an exercise very similar to this for a full 10 years out. And now I'm able to look very frequently at my big, hairy, audacious goals, my BHAGs, out to June of 2026. And each year now, my exercise is providing so much more. This exercise, the documentation of my BHAG is helping to provide tremendous clarity about what must happen in my life, in my lifetime, to live out my legacy, right? And I have tremendous confidence now in who I am and why God brought me into this world. Right? I believe in myself more than ever because of it. And I firmly believe that you can too, right? So believe in yourself and work through that exercise. Now, number 6, I want you guys to let go of perfection and chase progression. What I've learned as a podcaster is that we get caught up worrying about the wrong things. 99% of people don't care about perfect. You know what majority of people care about? Most of them really just care about what's going to solve their problems. And they want it from people they trust. So we've got to put in the work now. We need to begin investing the time to begin building and connecting with our own tribe and audience. And I'm learning this the hard way, right? Over time. But I've learned that you have to be able to be cool putting yourself out there. Just as I'm doing right now, in this very minute, I'm talking to you. But that requires that you let go of the attachments that you've got trying to be perfect, right? And so you have to understand and accept that success is not going to come overnight. You've got to put in the work and chase after progress, one win at a time. And so to achieve progress, it's not easy. We've got to get comfortable, if you will, with sacrifice, because most of us are very busy. That's difficult, right? The only way that's going to happen is that you kind of have to just roll up your sleeves and begin to hustle. And if you've never heard this before, the word hustle, right, for me at least, refers to the willingness to do whatever it takes to get what you want out of life and your business or your career. And if you're waiting for everything to be perfect, you're going to get beat by dudes like me that are often recording these episodes after midnight, or some of my friends who wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning because that time works better for them. But we are all getting it in while you're getting your beauty rest, right? So I knew nothing about the business of podcasting, but over 2 years I've been grinding, right? And I've gotten better and better as a result. Now, I work a full-time job. I have 2 young kids and a very, very focused wife who's also blazing her own trail. So this podcast, the only way this podcast happens is me sacrificing time in the couch, right? And idle time, because I'm putting in time with my kids. I don't sacrifice on that. So you've got to hustle, right? And here's what's awesome about hustle. Real hustle is done by like 1% of people. Like seriously, most people don't hustle because it's hard work. It's inconvenient. It's long hours. And you fall down a whole bunch of times. And so you have to be really comfortable with failing and having to try over and over and over again. Oftentimes, it's embarrassing, right? You're trying all these new approaches. And so most people are not going to hustle, like really hustle, right? Everybody loves put an Instagram picture up about hustle, but they don't know about real hustle, right? So there's no perfection in blazing your trail. But if you keep pushing through these unknowns, you're going to experience progress along the way. And that's the goal. That's what we chase after, right? So number 5, I want you guys to grow and glow up. Grow and glow up faster by surrounding yourself with your own team of winners. Now, since I became a podcaster, I've now surrounded myself with a ton of other like-minded trailblazers. Some are people that I've interviewed. Some are other podcasters I'm growing up with, and we're pushing each other along. Some are friends of mine from college who we're just in that same track, in that mindset right now, right? But it's amazing because my day-to-day interactions and my inner circle, my winners circle today is so much different than it was just 3 years ago. And so the people I roll with today are way smarter than me. They're positive, they're hungry, they're achievers, and they're inspiring, right? And on days when I doubt, when I seriously doubt myself, these are people that speak confidence and life into me. And there are many times that I am scared as ever about jumping off of my cliff of comfort. And these are the people who remind me that I am capable, I am able, I am more than able. And so, listen, we need that. You know, you and I need that. We need that support. And I can think of a handful of folks in my circle who, even in the past week, have poured into me. Whether it's a message in our mastermind Slack chat, or it's a phone call while I'm in my daily commute to and from work, or it's a deep one-on-one conversation in the dark of night to help refill the tank for the next day, right? And I could just give a shout out right now and big up, my winner circle, Jameson, Melissa Powell, Tiff South, Annette, Minda, Raina, Art, Amy, Kwame, Rich, Donald. I mean, these are just a few of my people, my accountability partners. And listen, no contracts. There's no formalities. These are just other like-minded people who are pushing, just like me, for our goals, our mountaintops, right? And we check in and we just help to push each other up. So don't make it too formal. It doesn't need to be, right? Connect with people and get on the same page. And if it's somebody who is aggressively pushing for theirs, align yourself. Surround yourself with beautiful and positive people who believe in you and who love you. And hear this advice, right? It's important that you get this. It's not about what you can get. I'm going to challenge you right now to pour into other people as much as you possibly can. Add value to the lives of other people. And believe me, in return, you're going to get all that you could ever imagine and more, right? So if you trust me on this one, and we'll all begin to execute this challenge, my dream is going to be realized in that all boats are going to rise with the tide. Number 4, I want you to feel the fear and I want you to jump anyway. You and I are comfortable standing on the edge of our comfort zone. I like to call it the edge of your cliff of comfort. But here's the thing. What you're dreaming of achieving requires that you jump off that cliff of comfort. And you have to trust that you're going to soar higher to higher heights by doing that, by jumping. Trust me, it don't make any kind of sense to most people. And that's cool, right? Because hear what? You're not most people. You're a trailblazer. And you're trying to chart a new path. And in some cases, you're trying to chart a new path that nobody ever done before. Right? I know my Panther coming on strong. It's late at night and I'm passionate about this, but that's okay. You are a trendsetter. You've got to break down those walls and those limits and those barriers. So feel the fear and jump. I felt the fear back on February 1st of 2016. I had no prior experience in audio. I had no prior community. I struggled to get people to download this podcast when things got started. Nobody knew what Trailblazers.fm was going to become. I had to go out and find people that would even want to be on the episodes as guests. And I'd go back and I'd listen to the first several episodes. Even now, I hear the quality of my editing and I cringe even now, right? But again, that progression has kicked in now. And I've gotten to higher heights with time. But none of today's success happens had I not jumped. So you have to jump. You have to feel the fear in your gut. You have to feel the doubts that are in your mind. You have to eat up all that negative chatter from the people who are closest to you and telling you it's a bad idea. And you have to jump anyway. Let that soak in. Number 3, I want you to be courageous and reach out to the impossible ones. In January, I featured John Rogers Jr. on this podcast. And so many people say, Stephen, how in the world did you land John Rogers Jr.? Well, I landed John because I was courageous and I reached out. I was at a Black Enterprise event last September where John Rogers was being honored. And at a social hour following the event, I look over my left shoulder and John Rogers is talking with a guy literally right behind me. And I'm thinking to myself while I'm standing in another circle, this is my opportunity. What am I going to do right now? You know what I did, right? I felt the fear and I jumped. The moment that guy finished introducing himself, I spun around, Trailblazers business card already in hand, introduced myself to John, introduced our podcast, asked him to come on the podcast. And the rest is history, right? And as Trailblazers, you've got to be ready, like me, to ask for what you want, even when the chances are slim that you're going to get it. But my getting John Rogers is what opened the door for me to ask for the Apple feature. And though that feature didn't come for another 6 weeks, it's still what opened the door to have that conversation. So if I wasn't courageous back in September, right, to ask John for the interview, fast forward 6 months to today, I'd not be a featured podcaster on the homepage of Apple. So be courageous and reach out to the impossible ones. Number 2, I want you to let go of the short-term results and mindset and keep your eye on the long game. It's human nature, guys, to compare ourselves to others. We do it every single day. Too many of us suffer from the Joneses effect. We want to be like the Joneses. The Joneses broke, right? But we want to be like them. And as podcasters in our space, we seem to geek out on metrics. If John Lee Dumas or if Pat Flynn or, some other one is reaching 1 million people a month or 1 million downloads a month, we're depressed because we only achieve 5,000 or 10,000. But guess what? I learned pretty quickly that, again, as I shared earlier, it's not about the numbers. In the long game, it's not about the money you're going to earn. We can't take the money and the cars and the homes and the downloads with us to our grave, but we can extend our lives through our legacy. And if your podcast or your career or your business has impact that extends beyond the bottom line, then your life will have meaning long after you and I are gone. So I'm learning to enjoy the process and to deliver tremendous value in the content that I'm creating for you, for Blazer Nation. And I'm really having a good time and enjoying myself and having a bunch of fun doing it. And here's what's amazing. I'm no longer tripping on the downloads, right? But accolades are still coming. Right? So the Apple feature still happened. Even though I'm not tripping on the downloads, I care about the people that the podcast is reaching. So in that light, yes, I want the downloads up because I want to know that more people are listening to the episode. But focus on what really matters in that long game. Don't get tied up in the short-term results. And so number 1, this brings us to our last tip. I want you to know that consistency is king. How many of you can relate to coming home at the end of a super long workday? You're tired. You might plop down on your couch. Your brain feels like an egg on a hot pan. And ideal situation right there is to grab something to munch on and cut on your TV and zone out. And that was my natural desire this past entire week, right? And several times over, I've been there. But I have now programmed myself to fight through those times, fight through those urges, because I know that I must publish this podcast every Monday morning at 5 a.m. It's no longer an option for me. If there's a Monday morning at 5 a.m. when I'm not publishing, and I didn't tell you that I wasn't going to publish, somebody please come and check on me, because that's a signal to you that something went wrong, right? And my tribe knows me now, right? They know that they can trust that I'm going to have something solid every single Monday morning. Right now, I am no different than General Hospital or any favorite TV shows. I don't even watch TV anymore to know what shows are on, but you know the day, you know the time. That's not up for debate anymore, right? And in that same light, you've got to be able to begin to be consistent about what you're offering to the world. And it's not just okay that you do this today and then you casually skip a few days, right? And come back to it. You have to be able to show up again and again and again. And when you actually promise people that you're going to show up, one of the smartest things you can do for yourself to prove me on this tip is keep an eye on the people who are excelling at the things that you want to excel at, because you're going to notice that they're consistent. So commit to consistency, commit to growth every single day. If we're going to blaze a trail, right? If we're going to write history, like Martin Luther King, like Barack Obama, like Ava DuVernay, like Oprah Winfrey, we need to begin to reject conformity, and we need to begin to anticipate our breakthroughs that are going to come because we're showing up daily. So as we wrap up, I want you to begin to believe in yourself. I want you to let go of perfection and begin to chase after progression. I want you to grow up and glow up faster by beginning to surround yourself with a team of winners. I want you to feel the fear, and I want you to jump anyway. You're going to be courageous. You're going to reach out to the impossible ones, and you're going to let go of the short term now with a focus on the long term later. And you're going to know that consistency is king. I hope you'll put these tips into action today to begin or maybe continue blazing your own trail and write your own Black history. Hope you enjoy. Well, that's it for today. Thanks again for listening to this episode of the Trailblazers podcast. I'll be posting links to all of today's book recommendations and links mentioned on our show notes page at tbpod.com. If today was your first time listening to the Trailblazers podcast, I just want to extend a warm Trailblazers welcome to you. We're so happy to have you here, and we encourage you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button in your favorite podcast app. Go ahead and browse through some of our past episodes to keep the knowledge flowing. If you're a fan of the podcast and today's content, and you're maybe already subscribed to the podcast, please continue to share and invite your friends, your family, your colleagues to listen to an episode that you think might impact them most. We believe that someone listening to these inspiring stories will be moved to make significant changes that will have generational impact for many others, both now and well into the future. Don't miss next week's episode. New episodes are released each and every Monday by about 5 a.m. Eastern. Trailblazers, jump off this podcast today. Go find a way to rise above, go way beyond, and keep blazing your trail. Cheers.